we are live now. Kaushik sir, can you start?
Yes. Warm welcome to all of the participants and our panelists and our speakers. We have arranged this webinar on behalf of the YOSI legal core team, and we have already covered these topics, and they are available on YouTube in the YOSI channel, which are Consent, Consumer Protection Act, Record Keeping, Indemnity Insurance, how to respond to a legal notice, medical legal issues regarding cluster end-of and cluster TAS, telemedicine and its medical legal aspects, cataract surgery and related medical legal aspects, and ROP and its related medical legal issues. Today we have this topic, medical certificates. We have been privileged to have Dr. Avinash sir to be speaking on this topic. In the panel, we have Dr. Anand Deshpande sir, who has been guiding us from the beginning. Sir is the director and eye surgeon at Guru Prasad Netra Rugnalaya at Aurangabad. Sir is the director at Indian Medical Legal Consulting Services Private Limited. Sir is chairman legal committee of AIOS, Maharashtra Ophthalmic Society and KOS. He is a faculty of law and visiting professor of Symbiosis Law College, Pune. He has written various books like Legal Aspects in Ophthalmology, to name a few. He has been the guiding force behind the concept of AIOS, and he is a very helpful person in people who have gotten this medical legal issues. We are privileged to have Dr. Manoj sir with us. Sir has both academic and extracurricular exceptional records, and he is advice and past president of Telangana Ophthalmic Society and Hyderabad Ophthalmic Association. He is currently the treasurer of AIOS, and he has served as a managing committee member of AIOS for 2 terms. He is member advisory board of IGO and member ethics committee of AIOS. He is a member of he was a member of medical legal cell of AIOS in 2018. Thank you, sir. Dr. Prakash Marathi sir has also been guiding us from the beginning. Sir is a consultant ophthalmologist at Netrayogi Eye Clinic, Pune. Sir is senior vice president IMA Maharashtra State. Sir is a managing committee member of AIOS and CWC member, Indian IMA headquarters, New Delhi. Sir is a trustee and past president of Pune Ophthalmic Society. Sir has also been associated with Indian Medical Association, Pune, and he is a past president of Maharashtra Ophthalmic Society. Our speaker is Dr. Avinash. Avinash sir is MBBS and FCGP from University of Pune. In 1983, he is a practicing family physician in Pune for 38 years. He is medical activist, and his motto is to increase health literacy of educated people and masses. He has delivered more than 2,000 speeches and workshops on preventive medicine, on adolescent education for boys. He is a writer of more than 5,000 articles, almost in all Marathi newspapers and magazines. He has written 16 books on health awareness, and he is the president of IIM Maharashtra State. He has been UNESCO chair for bioethics in 2019 to 2020. He received the Corona Warrior Award from Mahatma Gandhi Trust, Nepal, and also by Governor of Maharashtra. He has many awards to his name. He has given more than 2,000 interviews on various television channels and on preventive health, COVID, and medical issues. Sir is a writer of short stories and one-act plays. Sir is the medical legal advisor at Ruby Hall Clinic, Pune. Thank you, sir. We'll go directly to your speech, sir. Thank you.
Yeah. So, just a minute. Thank you, Dr. Kaushik. All the office bearers of YOSI, Young Ophthalmologist Society of India, our honorable panelist, Dr. Ananta Deshpande, Dr. Manoj Chandra Mathur, and my friend and classmate, Dr. Prakash Marathi. Of course, the moderators, Dr. Kaushik and Dr. Arti, and the YOSI legal core team, and of course, all the delegates or all the listeners. I'm going to talk about the medical certificates in ophthalmology practice. Basically, medical certificates is a common thing. And for ophthalmology, being a very important topic, we have definitely some differences in that. Just a minute. So what we have to see is first thing we'll be talking most of the general certificates as well as some special certificates which are required in the uh, ophthalmology practice. What is certificate? Certificate is an official document which confirms the state of someone's health or the treatment written at the behest of the judicial or administrative authorities or the person himself. So basically, it's a written document to be written with a request or need of somebody. Ophthalmology, as we all are aware, is an important branch of medicine and which deals with eyes and sight. The eyes are the most delicate sensory organ, and people are quite sensitive about its function. And people have so many notions about eyes that the eyes are supposed to be the beautiful eyes are supposed to be the important point in someone's beauty, or even it is we read whatever is in your mind through eyes, and people look at all the whole world with eyes, so they're very very sensitive. And that's why if something goes wrong, the number of medico-legal cases against the ophthalmologist is very high. And the number is rising day by day as all the cases we have seen. As all in all other branches, to avoid any legal complication, the documentation is a very vital part. And of course, that is true with the ophthalmology also. And amongst this documentation, we have certificates which are a part of the documentation and which is very important, and we should be very careful. The certificates usually which are needed are regarding illness, regarding treatment. Sometimes it is required for the fitness. Sometimes it is required for the disability. Sometimes it is required for the absentee at school or maybe at workplace or office. Uh, it is also required for legal and civil administrative purposes. It is essential in some of the insurances, driving license, new or even the renewal of driving license. And there should be some guidelines, rather, the whatever the certificate is, it should be written legibly or typed and printed. Ideally, it should be written on the forms or letter pad in a format. Many doctors or at many places in the hospitals, if we design the uh, certificate for every purpose, and if we with today's speech, if we can design some certificates, then it is definitely you can use it every time. But there are some if it is not possible, it should be written on the letter pad in a format. It should have minimum medical terms, and it should be based on the observation noticed by the doctor himself, not the hearsay evidence, but what most of the time he should write whatever he has done, whatever he has observed. It has to contain the date of examination or the date of consultation whenever it is required, and it should be the exact date. Even we have to put the date of certification, and ideally we should not give a backdated certificate. In every certificate there should be name, sex, age, and address of the person to whom we are going to give the certificate. Previously we were told that we have to take signature and left hand thumb impression of the person. But because of the availability of Aadhaar card as the identification certificate, the Aadhaar card number can be mentioned, which is very, very important if something goes in court of law or some medico-legal problem or legal problem arises. Medical certificate should be written and completed by the signing doctor. We have seen many cases in which some uh, clerk writes the certificate and doctor just signs it. Or somebody else, maybe a junior doctor or maybe houseman writes the certificate. He is told to write the certificate and doctor signs. It happens. I'm not sure whether you are doing that, but it should be written by we ourselves. It should be written and completed by the signing doctor, and that is very, very important. It should bear the name, designation, hospital or the institute name, our registration number, and signature. And with that, you require the seal of the doctor, which includes the registration number. Many times it is always debated that if the certificate is on the letter pad and signature is below that, whether you need a stamp or whether you need a seal. Yes, you need a seal, and that is rather one of the important thing we should remember. Just not this thing. Even the certificates on the email, or on the web format, it should have all these details, and the signature, of course, may not be required in that case, but declaration should be there. As far as possible, in very important thing, the certificate should not be given. It should be given in writing or in the typed format. The importance of the certificate it plays a crucial role in all types of medical practice, every medical practice, including, of course, the ophthalmic practice. They provide a documented record of patient's medical condition and treatment. They are essential for legal as well as the administrative purposes. Most of the time, the medical fitness certificate is always needed, and it is issued to certify a patient's fitness for specific activities such as employment, driving, sports participation, school and college and overseas universities admission. As you all, you all are ophthalmologists. You may think that whether we need these type of certificates like employment and other things. So in some companies, they send a format in which you have to check his vision. Not only the vision, even the color vision and other things. And you have to mention it. You're all aware that a bad precedence that the driving license certificate, which requires to notify the color vision, is never tested. And because of that, we people are rather suffering from suffering from the accidents committed by these people. And so that is very, very important. In some employment, the color vision and the refraction is very, very important, especially in police practice or a police if they want to join the police force, even in the security people, even in some very, very important thing, we have to check vision properly. I remember Dr. Prakash, you must be remembering when we got admitted to medical college long back in 1977. That time, the color vision was tested by the chart. And I don't know whether it is tested nowadays, because I've seen many students who go with only with the just a certificate that he is physically fit. But that is very, very important. I still remember a few of my friends, they were colorblind totally, but they got admission. But nowadays they are following this radiology as their profession, as a specialty. So it is required at every stage, because vision is very, very important. Even in sports participation, it is required. Even in many activities, it is required, especially the school, colleges, and overseas universities admission. They ask for the vision testing, which is most of the time, which is never done. After that, there are types of various medical certificates, especially for the ophthalmologists, visual impairment certificates, which has to be provided to the individuals with visual disabilities to avail benefits and support from the government or other organization. You must be knowing that these type of visual impairment in percentage for some government this thing has to be rather given by the government doctors or the civil surgeon or maybe the superintendent of the district hospital. But in some places, it may be required by a practicing ophthalmologist or any other doctor in other cases. So in such case, you have to know all the details. You have to write all the details of the examination, and you have to decide how much the percentage as per the convention. Sometimes the patient has to be described as he is blind, and as per this thing, we have to write all the findings in a format, and then only you can decide that he's a blind person, not before that. And we have to write exactly how much vision, how much distant vision he has, 2 feet, 3 feet, 4 feet, and then only it is decided whether is how much blindness he has or he is a complete blind. In this government format of pro forma of medical certificate, which is not very good, I must say, that it says that I have checked up she's Kumari who has application for the so and so. It is for the railway assistant station master, traffic assistant. Here it is written that distant vision, near vision, color vision. You know how important it is, because the person should understand the signals, the colors of the signals. Otherwise, the massive accidents or some bad things may occur. And all the important things has to be there. His name and address and all our numbers. Of course, they have given the photographs. You have to check the photograph whether it belongs to the same person, and we have to rather confirm that the same person is taking certificate. Secondly, the visual impairment certificate for the government, there is a specific format. I have given this Andhra Pradesh certificate. Even the Maharashtra state has got their different format. Just a minute. So these are the things which we have to see in the visual impairment certificate, which rarely or it is not very often you are called for this. But if you are working in a government hospital, definitely you'll have to know. There are only written that such and such this thing. The things are enumerated, whether he's has some limb problems or paralysis or vision problem, hearing loss, and other all sorts of these impairments are rather written one by one, and you have to tick and write the percentage. But for that, we have to produce all the documents and the tests. The types of medical certificate, of course, the disability certificate is issued to determine the percentage of disability in visually impaired individuals for various purposes, including government schemes and concession. For government and schemes and concession, usually they require from the government hospital. But as I told you that it may be required in private industries as well as in some schools or even in the legal cases. This is the type of disability certificate that here, of course, it is written amputation, permanent paralysis, visual this thing. All these things are this thing. He is a case of locomotive disability, blindness, please tick. So these things are done very casually by the written very casually in this format, but we have to be very sure about keeping all the records with that. Then medical fitness certificate. sorry, and medical fitness certificate, which is of course contains his height, weight. Usually, this is asked by the some schools as well as some employee at some companies to employ their new people. So there also they ask for the height, weight, chest, and along with that the vision and color vision also. So we have to write that time. Of course, you all know the vision without glasses and with glasses. So this has to be mentioned very carefully, and because it may go in, it may require, sometimes it may go, there may be some problem even in the employment, that we have seen many cases that the person's vision was the certified as a normal vision, but in fact he was not having a good vision, which was not tested and was just blanket certificate was given. This is a standard vision certificate, which you all know. Is a distant vision, both right and left eye, near vision, field of vision, of course, the color vision. Then whether there is a squint, is there any medical condition of the eye, eyelids, or any other problems, or even the sometimes the tension we have to write. So all these things are very, very important, and you ophthalmologists must be rather very particular about writing all these things. And of course, I'll come to that you have to preserve all the records. This is, of course, a certificate which we need. This is a certificate by the government, just a sample certificate that which is required for the cornea transplantation. For that also, a doctor requires all the certificates, his educational qualification as well as all the other certificates are needed. But this type of certificate is issued by the government. The certificate of medical fitness, as you know, all the doctors nowadays, they require to attend all types of patients if they are emergency. Even an ophthalmologist is sitting in his clinic or in hospital because of the government law. If somebody meets with an accident and comes to his clinic, he has to treat him. So this is like that. Being the basic MBBS doctor, you have to give the medical certificate, and definitely many times you may get. This is a standard format that I have carefully examined Mr. So and so, son and doctor of this thing, age, and his signature is given below, or even we can add the Aadhaar card number if it is required. And his physically and mentally duties of government and all these things we have to write as per the requirement. Then many a times absentee certificate is required. Absentee certificate is required by the general practitioners or physicians like us, but even for the ophthalmologist, suppose somebody is suffering from some disease or even a simple conjunctivitis, and you asked him to take rest for 3-4 days, 5 days, and that time also he may need a certificate which has to be written very properly. The reason and a proper diagnosis has to be written there. The treatment certificate, many times at some places, even in some companies, or even the patient himself may ask that what treatment he is undergoing. So we have to give all the details again in the prescribed format, that from this date to this date this was being done, and this was the treatment I have given. These are the things. This may be required in some cases. Consent of the surgery, as you all know, it's not a certificate, but it's a type of certificate. We must say that consent is that all the forms are there as you must be using, but we have to explain everything stepwise. Keep the written version of whatever you are advised or whatever you are explained, and take the signature of the patient and of course the witness. That is very, very important, because many a times it is claimed that I was not explained, and surgery was done without my knowledge, or even their near relatives also complain. So this type of consent is very, very important, and I must say it is a type of certificate only that we have to write it very carefully. The disease certificate, sometimes actually as per the medical ethics and our law, we should not reveal the diagnosis or the disease of a person to other person other than him, even to his family if it is required, even to his employee if it is asked for. But most of the time, only we can give the diagnosis only when the court of law asks whether what rather the disease is suffering from. But nowadays, it's been you can say a tradition or maybe a fashion that even a school-going child or even the Montessori child is asked for the certificate. And of course, you'll have to give it this thing, and this is a standard format that he was suffering from such and such this thing, and date from which date to which date he was asked arrest, and exactly when he is fit to resume his duties or his classes. This is very, very important. If a child is there, we have to take signature of his parents, and that is very, very important. Then hospital admission certificate. It is again a very, very important. I will quote a specific incidents which I faced in my life. So usually a patient comes, you advise that he needs admission, he needs surgery, and you send him to the hospital where you yourself or somebody else, it may be from a different subspecialty, you may advise that person to undergo surgery under him. So you have to take all the details of the person, write it there, even including the Aadhaar card, which is a very, very good thing nowadays. What happened long back in early 80s, when I met with an rather a patient came to me who was having, of course, he was having severe pulmonary coughs, and he was having hemoptysis and other problems also. And he came with a friend, and he said that we want to admit him in the own chest hospital. That time it was own chest hospital. And so I, whatever the name he told, I wrote that name and sent it to the hospital. Now, the problem was the person, his friend who accompanied him was, say, Mr. X, and the patient's name was Y. So Mr. Y, who was a patient, was unemployed and did not have money. Mr. X was an employee and was having the facility of free treatment at Mount Choice Hospital. So he gave his name as patient's name. So I was not aware of it, and the patient went there. Unfortunately, after a few days, the patient died. Now, it was declared that Mr. X died, though actually the Mr. Y died, and X was an employee. So there was a problem with this, because officially on records he died. So this may happen. That's why we have to take all the signatures and other things. Previously, we were supposed to take the left hand thumb. Even in one very important is this may happen in any type of uh, certificate. One of our friends who was having his practice in a small hospital, and one day a person came and with fever and I think, of course, an unknown new patient. So he asked to put saline. So our friend put him on 2 saline bottles. From morning to say evening, he was rather administered the 2 bottles of say maybe 5% dextrose or something. And at the end, he paid also. At the end, he said that please give me the certificate that I was there, and he obliged and gave the certificate. So in few days, the person in whose name the certificate was taken, without his identification or without any note on the identification, thumb mark or even other that, the certificate was given, and that person was involved in a very sex racket at a distant place in Jalgaon. So that was a very serious thing, and our friend had to travel a lot, and it was settled, of course, but these things definitely do happen. So we have to be careful, and we should not ignore about the all these important things in the medical certificates. Of course, many times even the findings which we note may be important many a times, and even very, very important is the signature which we make. In one of the cases, uh, I myself was called in the court of law. A thing was happened that in the afternoon, on one fine afternoon, a person came to me. He had a fall. He had a fracture of humerus. So I referred him to a proper hospital, orthopedic hospital, and I had given a note. Hmm. And just I was in hurry, so I signed in a very simple this thing. So this hospital admission certificate or the letter which was given to him was carrying my signature, but in a different format. It was not my this thing. So in the court, the lawyer asked me, "Sir, this is your certificate." I said, "Yes, this is my letterpad and this is my writing." But this certificate, this signature does not match with the signature which you have given on your registration certificate. So as you all know, on our uh, uh, this MBBS certificate, we have to put our signature. And that signature, he challenged that it is not the same signature. So this certificate is not given by you. So somehow it got settled, but this may happen. So we have to be we have to be very careful, even writing all the details along with our signature and the identification of the person. Of course, this is a discharge certificate. It is very, very important. The discharge certificate is again very important, and we have to write all the details, all the medicines. We have to explain everything. Along with that, we have to write. Remember this, that whenever you may have these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 complaints, if at all these complaints are seen, please contact the hospital. This has to be written because in some cases it was rather argued that the doctor did not inform us that such and such complication may occur. So that is again very important, very subtle point, but may give you trouble if you miss it. Rejoining certificate, of course, after enjoying a very good holiday, the person has to rejoin. So we have to give all the details. Very important thing that as per the government, I won't say the rule, but as per their routine things, the certificate which is of the longer duration is not accepted. Many times we get people that they ask a certificate of a very long duration. The person was rather was absent from his work for 1 month, 2 months, and he asked the certificate. So it should not be given. It's of course a false certificate, even though you have treated. Many times the patient comes for the treatment, he attends a clinic or maybe the same, but after that treatment, you are treating him say 5 days, 7 days, 15 days, and after that, that person remains absent in his work, or a student, especially the college student, they do not attend their college, and after at the end when the employee it requires by the audit people, they ask the certificate, otherwise you won't get your salary, or even for the college student, his terms are not sanctioned for the final examination, for the university examination. That time they came to you and ask, but this should not be done because it has got a trap in that, and many times our people have suffered. Even in some cases, we have to deal very tactfully for a longer duration certificate. Many times what happens, you all know that the person who is working maybe in a private concern or maybe especially in a government office, and he's about to retire. There are some 6 months to retire, and the person suddenly decides that he will be enjoying his holiday. His rather the holidays are rather he has not enjoyed his holidays during last so many years, so he will use that this thing for these 6 months. In that case also, the certificate should not be given for a longer time. What we can do, that we can give a certificate say for 15 days, 20 days like that, and we should write a proper diagnosis which is rather sufficient, which is rather that a period is sufficient for that condition. You cannot write that he was having viral conjunctivitis and advise him 1 month rest. So it is like that. So there are so many diseases. And after that, if he requires this thing, ask him to attend for a day or two and again give another certificate. That should be done. Because many times I've seen that these certificates, rather, the government office or even the private companies and these limited companies, they ask the attestation by the specialist or by the civil surgeon. So that time we may get into trouble. So that's why such type of things should be avoided. A death certificate. Now, death certificate, of course, you will say that why we need death certificate. In ophthalm, usually it does not happen, but being MBBS doctor, you can definitely give death certificate, and but you have to be very, very cautious about that. This is a death certificate issued by the government to the relative, and this is the medical certificate of death. Especially, there are the things are same, but the formats are different. We have to remember that we can give certificate only if you have treated that patient in last, say, 15 days or so. Secondly, you should know the condition, because you have to write all the morbid conditions which are giving rise to his problem, and the cause of death. So the cause of death, if you want to write, you should know all the details. Otherwise, we should deny giving death certificate. Definitely, you people have good this thing that I'm a ophthalmologist. I won't give death certificate, but this may happen. People may come to you, so you have to be very careful. If you want to give it in proper format, and give it only if you have treated him, and only if that treatment or the disease you are treating led to his death. So there are so many things which may happen, even the injury or the accident. That time also we have to send the patient. If we are not confirmed, we have to send the patient for the post-mortem. We should not give the medical death certificate, and it has to be given in person. The format is fixed. It is there are two types. One is for the domiciliary treatment, and one is for the hospitalized treatment. In the hospitalized treatment also, we have to give it and we have to sign it many times. So that is very, very important. And this thing should not be given any false certificate. If you do not know the patient, you should not give it, and safely say no. There are n number of incidences where the doctors got into trouble because of some person, some friend, some knowing person, or maybe some person with the influence. He asks you to give the certificate, and the doctor gives it, and at the sometime, and some other things do happen. And of course, in such cases, doctor is supposed to be the accomplice of the culprit. So there are some guidelines and regulations. The certificates can be used in courts as an evidence without your knowledge. Many times this can happen. I will again, and so we have to be very careful. I will just let you know one incident that unknowingly how I got involved. That one fine day, an old patient came to me, and he asked me to check his blood pressure. So I checked his blood pressure. He asked me to give it in writing. So I gave it in writing, that in lying down this much, in sitting position was this much, in standing position was this much, date, time, everything, and his name. After that, he said, do I have hypertension? I said, yes. He said, what precaution I have to take? So I explained all the precautions. Then he asked me, can you give me in writing? So in that, I said that you should not go upstairs or climb the stairs until your blood pressure is normal, or your cardiac investigations are normal. He said, please give me in writing. So I gave another certificate that such and such person is suffering from such and such disease and is advised not to climb the staircase. After 3 months, I was called in the court of law, and this person, who was a landlord and was having a room on the second floor in his own building, and he wanted to remove the person who was staying on the ground floor, and for that he used this certificate and went in court of law that I am unable to climb the stairs, so I want to use this thing, and this person is not going away. So I had to explain everything all about the hypertension and other things. So this may happen. So unknowingly also, we should be very much we should be aware what we are giving. So do not give false information, false facts which are unknown to you. The only the hearsay things we should not mention. Give only to the patient concerned. Give Rather hand it over to him only. Don't give in absentia. Suppose I want my certificate, my uncle's certificate or my daughter's certificate. Ideally, one should not do this. Except the death certificate, you should hand it to the person himself. The process of medical certificate is, of course, do it personally. Fill all the details which are true. Take a signature with the ID. Sign yourself with seal. Always keep a duplicate copy. That is very, very important. We have to preserve all these copies at least for few years, maybe even lifelong. It was very difficult when rather we were having only the written documents or the but nowadays, because of the computers and the hospital softwares, we can keep a certificate in the computer, or we can preserve in the photo format also if it is given by hand. So that is very important. We have to preserve all these things as being the legal thing. The common challenges about this thing, the fraudulent certificate issuance. The fraudulent, it may be a purposeful, or maybe because of some pressure given by, rather created by the relatives or some other people, or maybe because of some uh, other motives. Many a times it is these people always come to me, sir, doctor, take the certificate. Whatever charges you want, I'll give. So we should not give the fraudulent certificate, because many a times the certificates are misused, which we are not aware. Even I forgot to mention one thing. In government, in the government service, these people have the provident fund, and they can take out the fund if they produce a certificate that it is essential for such and such thing, and they will get it immediately. Suppose they want for some marriage or some house or the thing, but they come to us and ask that please give me certificate for the provident fund. So in that case, I was told that we have to write that this is being given for the purpose of the provident fund. In one case, initially I didn't write it, and then one of my a very wealthy patient, he came to me, said that you had given a certificate to such and such person, and he was having some ulcer problem, and he was asking that he needs surgery, and he was asking for some money, so I gave him 5,000 rupees. So misuse may occur in that type, in this way also. uh, Backdated certificate should not be given. It is definitely a trap which we should avoid. And of course, the false certificate. So these are the some of the certificates. Along with that, of course, the injury certificates, which is very, very important. We have to in other injuries, we have to write all the description of the injury, the site, the length, if it is the type of the injury, abrasion or CLW, or even the deep wound, even the length, breadth, and depth. In ophthalm also, so many times the patient come with injury, and we have to give the injury certificate, which should be proper and anatomically correct. And of course, its picture should be taken, and all these things has to be done. So these are the few things which I have rather experienced, and these are the common certificates. There are plenty of types which are remaining, but for today, I think this much is sufficient. So thank you very much. I again thank the Young Ophthalmologist Society of India for inviting me, and thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. I think it was a wonderful presentation. We have some queries which we actually collected. We sent a Google form across various social media, and we found some queries of the candidates. So we'll take those. There was a question: how long can we give medical leave after cataract surgery? Is there any norm or anything?
See, I won't say that. There are two types. You know how many days he may require. It may be 7 days, 14 days, whatever. But suppose a complication occur, we can definitely extend this thing. So in the beginning, don't give a very long certificate for not only for cataract, for any disease. Don't give a long certificate. Give it the certificate till you call him for the follow-up. Even after that, if he needs, you can extend it whenever you want. You can that I had given certificate such and such and asked on this thing, but he's not still well. And if it is required, you can extend it. Dr. Marathe sir or Dr. Deshpande sir, you may rather help me in this.
Hello, Dr. Avinash. Can you unshare the screen now? Because of presentation. Can you unshare the screen? Yeah.
Sure.
Dr. Avinash, I think it was a fantastic presentation. I know you from my college days, and it was a fluency in your talk. And the specialist of certificates was speaking on that particular topic. That's what everybody realized. It is not only ophthalmology, but even general practitioner and all the doctors. For them, the talk was beneficial, and definitely it was useful to each and everyone. So congratulations to you, Dr. Avinash. One thing I'd like to add here, that about the backdated certificates. This is the real incidence. One of my colleagues, who is general surgeon, had operated one person for routine general surgery. And the patient came and asked him about the certificate to be given. And only request the patient was saying to the doctor that just prepone that particular thing by 1 week, that particular stay in the hospital. And doctor gave the certificate. And afterwards, the doctor got the call from the court because the person was involved in the murder case in that previous week. And this is the fact, and doctor has to prove that it was given by the request of the patient. And there was no intention of doctor to be involved in that particular thing. But the patient was involved in the murder case. So I think what Dr. Avinash has told so many things about the false certificate, backdated certificate, these are the real incidences, and we must avoid these things. Over to you, Dr. Kaushik.
Yeah, as you rightly said, Dr. Prakash, that this our certificate is used as an alibi by these criminals, and it is many a times it is seen. So backdated certificate is always you can say a trap. So always avoid it. It's a better way, just in a lighter sense. Whenever somebody comes to me for a longer duration false certificate, I said that I charge say 500 rupees as my consultation every time. So it is 30 days certificate. So if you can pay 500 into 30, I will give. It's a better way to say no, because in practice, many times you should not given, but many times you should explain it in a some humorous way or some different way.
Just to add few things, coming to the previous question, how much period we can give the leave after the cataract surgery? Basically, routine cataract surgery like intracapsular cataract surgery and extracapsular cataract surgery in the past, maybe 1 to 1.5 months was the leave to be given. But nowadays there are surgeries when the doctors, they claim that patient can go home after driving a car, or next day can join the work. In that case, it is very difficult. Whatever you have promised to your patient, maybe after a couple of days you can join your duties, and the patient is asking for certificate of that particular leave for more period of time. So whatever you have done, stick to that, and that way you have to give the certificate to the patient. That's the feedback from my side. And another thing, jokingly, we are saying that this much can be charged for the medical certificate. But I think expert also can throw the light about the certificate to be given. I don't think the charges are to be asked for. Or if there are any norms, Dr. Anand Deshpande also can add, or Dr. Mathur also can add about the charges to be asked for medical certificates. Over to you, Dr. Deshpande sir. Unmute yourself. Unmute kara sir.
The thing is that the tricky thing in giving the certificate in ophthalmic surgery, many times the patient says that for claiming the insurance, they need admission beforehand. So previous day admission is shown and actually admission is not done. This is the most dangerous thing in the law, because the patient is not under your observation, not in your hospital, and you have certified that he is there. So this is used in as an alibi in many criminal cases, and the patient may get the benefit or may not get the benefit, as the case depends upon, but doctor definitely suffers for that. So this should not be done. If you are admitting the patient, actually admit it and then give the certificate beforehand admission.
Yeah.
Another thing about the fees, that is individual, but as such, we cannot, or we should not charge the fees for the giving the certificates when it is a true admitted with us. And so that is ethics says that fees is not taken.
I think if it
So
is the
that is
follow-up visit,
individual.
if it is the follow-up visit, you can definitely charge about the certificate. But if it is a death certificate, you shouldn't ask for fees. That's what.
Yeah. As far as Prakash, as far as the death certificate is concerned, you can charge a visit fee. Suppose that they ask you to attend at their place, at their home. So you can ask for the visit fee, but you must mention that I'm not charging you for. We never charge for the death certificate. As far as the charges of the certificates are concerned, sir, Dr. Deshpande, sir, there are some these things that where you can definitely ask for fees, especially in the injury certificates, because this is what you are giving helping him for some other reason. For the insurance and fitness, for the school fitness certificate, we can definitely charge. For anybody comes for the employment fitness certificate, or anybody comes for the as I say, the provident fund certificate and other thing, we can definitely charge. And the charges should be decided by you yourself, because everybody has his own value. And secondly, even, sir, the certificates which are given for the court of law, when we have to rather make the Xerox and submit it to the patient as per the patient condition in the hospital, that time also we are allowed to take the document charges. So taking charges is nothing. Only thing, if you are operated and asking him to rather giving him the absentee certificate or the treatment certificate, that time we definitely should not charge.
Another thing is that about the death certificate, whenever you have not attended the death of the patient, one should not give the certificate, and particularly the ophthalmologist should never give the certificate in such cases, because he is not attended the death. And if without attending the death, if the death has occurred because he was under his treatment, many times he comes in trouble. And I have handled such cases where the doctor was made as a criminal along with the criminal who has done this.
Correct.
Right, sir.
Manoj, sir.
Wonderful talk, Dr. Avinash. What stands out, main things from your talk was that the identity of the patient, you should not indulge in false certification, that is there. And as an ophthalmologist, it is generally said that an ophthalmologist should not give a medical certificate for over 2 weeks at a time. So those guidelines we can abide. And one thing what I would like to emphasize is the definition of legal blindness, especially when we are giving medical certificates to the patients. I remember that impairment is 3 meters vision and visual field less than 10 degrees. And what is the exact definition of legal blindness, complete blindness? Dr. Deshpande sir, I just want to know. Impairment, I think, is 3 meters. Then there is one more guideline of 6/18 vision. 6/18 is one, 3 meters vision is one, and complete blindness is one. So I'm not sure about the exact terminology for these 3 visual impairments. Can anybody highlight this fact for me?
The complete blindness, one eye is totally blind and the next eye is not having the vision more than 660, or a field of vision less than 10 degree. is said to be the blind. And really speaking, it is not a complete blind. He has vision, but he is labeled as a blind person in our blind all places. Now, another thing in this, when you are taking a vision for fitness purposes, particularly non-ophthalmic doctors, one should be very aware that he is not wearing the contact lens, because non-ophthalmic may not be able to detect that he has worn the contact lens, and he will say that he is having 6x6 vision, and may make him fit for aeroplane driving and anything and such things in military, and he may come in trouble. When remove the contact lens, his vision is less than 660.
Very good
These
point, sir.
things are very tricky things in ophthalmology. Another tricky thing which I want to suggest, now what happening actually coming across when handling with different cases in court, it has found that whenever one quotes the Aadhaar card, the photo on the Aadhaar card in such a bad condition that you cannot recognize, or the photo may be 10 years before, 7 years before, and the man has changed. And so you say that, okay, you are given the number of the Aadhaar card. And so many times that Aadhaar card is not of that person, similar person. And it makes a lot of problems. So best way is to have a thumb impression. And so in our booklet, we have specially made a provision that you take the thumb impression of every patient for the consent purposes. So also for the certificate purposes, it should be taken. It has happened in a PCPNDT Act. The lady was examined, and some name was given, signature was given, and another lady was given the certificate that she is pregnant, and it was utilized in diverse case. And the doctor could not say that this is not the lady which I have examined.
I think the additional point is even we can take the Aadhaar card as well as left thumb impression.
Yeah,
Both the
yeah,
things
that is true.
additionally
Sir,
can be taken.
even the Aadhaar card, if we cannot recognize the face from the photo, but his name, whatever the certificate we are giving, the same name should be in the Aadhaar card and the number. So that is the way we can this thing. Of course, the government has all the machinery that even the number is put, all the details of the person come. So all this data is available. So even if you can confirm the name, whatever the name the person I'm giving, suppose I'm giving to Dr. Prakash Marathe, the Aadhaar card should bear the name of Dr. Marathe and the number that we should mention. That's what I rather specifically said.
And regarding a death certificate
in place of
issue,
Prakash Marathe, I appear and say I am Prakash Marathe and I give the vision test and my vision is 6.6. So this makes a trouble again.
Yeah. Even the people may be the similar name and surname. There are many people.
No. Exchange a person because he cannot identify whether he is a Prakash Marathe or Dr. Deshpande.
So yeah, other thing also.
So best way is have a
Aadhaar card, sir. You're quite right that left-hand thumb impression has to be taken. But in Aadhaar card, I've seen many workers from the UP side. They have only first name, Sandeep. Like that. They do not have full name, their father's name. So that is again a big thing.
Yes, you are
Correct.
You are correct.
regarding the death certificate, I have one more query. Like it does happen many times, especially known people, our distant relatives and all, like because of the terminal illness, they get discharged on request, they come home and the death happens at home. And there is a common request from the known people to come and certify the death. What should be our strategy?
Ideally, we should not. But as I told you that many a times because of our contacts or because of our rather you can say the if they are friends or near relatives, we have to give. Otherwise, they have to be sent for the postmortem.
Only the thing is, in that case, suppose it is a near and dear relative, and if you really know the history of that particular person, maybe for a couple of weeks and the type of illness and near and dear relatives, and if everything is authentic, maybe you can take a chance. But
Right,
officially,
Dr.
what?
Prakash, usually,
Hmm.
when these people come, they are distant relatives. They are
Yeah,
relatives of relatives like
relative.
that.
Correct.
So most of the time,
Yeah,
such things do
only I
happen.
will say that
Yeah.
if you are really have a faith with that person, give, otherwise don't give.
What we are saying, because ophthalmologists, they don't come under that particular category of giving death certificate. Only the thing is, suppose there is stable death. I think that is the situation where what should be the role of ophthalmologist about giving the death certificate? Dr.
Yeah.
Avinash or Dr.
Yeah.
Deshpande?
One more thing I would like to point out about the death certificate. The death certificate, the address we are mentioning should be the exact address. And for that, we require the Aadhaar card of that person. Because it has happened, there was a case in Pune itself that one of a lady doctor who was examining the patient and treating a patient, that old lady died. So she was staying with his one of his sons, and this was rather then the address was written of that son. That son's address was written as their address. But practically that time, the real address of that lady was with her other son, and they went into court of the law, and our poor lady doctor was rather punished. You must be remembering this, Prakash.
Yeah, that happens, sir. It has
Yeah,
happened in Aurangabad also. The
yeah,
gynecologist was punished for 15 years imprisonment, and she was to fight to the Supreme Court till to get away from that. So it troubled a lot.
yeah.
So one should not do that.
Yeah, the similar thing, which of course will not come across with the ophthalmologist, that the birth certificate. I remember a few weeks back in Ruby Hall, a lady came that she gave birth to a baby and a proper certificate was issued. But somehow when that lady got admitted, her name, say, you can say her name was Ganga. And it was written that Ganga, and as it is saying that the Ganga, the son of Ganga, or the male child of Ganga, was the birth certificate of that this thing. And after 7 years, after 6 years, when that boy was supposed to be admitted in the school, they suddenly realized that her name is Ganga. People call her Ganga, but her real name is Yamuna. So she was asking to change the name, which we cannot do like that. So for that also, again, these Aadhaar certificate and other things are really important.
Good. Dr. Kaushik, do you have other questions? Maybe asked by the
Yes,
audience?
sir. Yes, sir.
Hmm.
What is the validity of medico-legal certificate? There was another question.
Validity?
Is there any validity? Like, this question is a little obscure. Validity of MLC.
No, for everything, it is some this thing. And we cannot write. Suppose it is an absentee certificate or this thing, we write the date. But fitness certificate, we cannot write that now on this. We have to write the date of the this thing. It was what we write usually, that I examined Mr. XYZ on such and such date at such and such time in my clinic or at this place, and I found to be he found to be physically fit, like that. Suppose now for the cataract surgery, when the people, rather the patients come to us, we always write that such a we have seen their clinical reports and their ECG and other investigations and his blood pressure and other clinical findings. He's physically fit to undergo a cataract surgery under local anesthesia. So in such certificates, the date is itself is the validity. You cannot this thing. Suppose you got operated in 1920. That time I have given one certificate, and the same patient comes in 2025, and again asks produces the same certificate. It is not valid, definitely. So rather, what I think that every certificate by its virtue, by its type, has got some validity.
I think the question can be a little different, Kaushik. Maybe suppose the incidence has occurred, maybe about the illness, maybe about the treatment, maybe about the admission. Up to how many years the patient can ask for medical certificate? That can be the question.
No. Actually, the other part will be, Dr. Prakash, that what I mentioned, that we have to preserve the certificates, most of the certificates, and how long that for the medical legal cases, and suppose there are some tricky cases, you have to preserve as per the case paper lifelong. It is like that. And just like that income tax paper, we have to keep it for 7 years. Like that, he must have asked validity.
Yeah.
And there
Any
was
other?
another question: extended need of medical leave in patients with multifocal IOL due to complaints of related or to delayed neuroadaptation. Can we give longer duration medical leave for patients with multifocal IOLs for the time to taken to neuroadapt?
So the same thing. You have to give whatever the standard this thing. And if you want to extend it after that, it is always allowed. Suppose, for example, you are given 15 days certificate, and you have found after 15 days is still not well. You have been treating him. Then you can extend it for another 15 days or whatever this thing. So at a stretch, ideally the longer duration should be avoided. That's what I feel. What do you think, Deshpande sir?
Yes, that's what he says. Avinash sir is saying correctly, because you cannot say that this patient will require this much adaptation time, that patient will require this much adaptation time. So a short certificate can be given, and after the follow-up and assessing the patient, you can increase it.
So there was another question: medical certificate to parents when their child has undergone surgery. Like they also have to take leave to take care of the child or for admission, etc. So their child is getting admitted and their child is getting admitted and getting treated. Can you give like some certificate to the parents or somebody who has accompanied them?
Definitely. There's got 2 points. First thing, the person you have to identify, the child, of course, you have to identify. And secondly, as far as the ophthalm procedures are concerned, what I know that it's a 1-day procedure. So you can have 1 day, or even suppose he needs some other things next day. As per that, you can definitely give the certificate to the parent, but mention that don't give that parent, his name Mr. XYZ is suffering from such and such. Give the exact reason that such and such child has undergoing such and such surgery, and to be with the person as a help to help him. His father or his mother requires such and such days absence from the duties. It's like that.
Like installation of drops 6 times a day.
Yeah. Of course, it is.
Yeah,
in some companies it is allowed, in some government offices it is allowed, but not everywhere it is allowed. In many companies, even the wife got delivered or some other problem, the husband never gets this thing. He has to give it some other what do you say, that casual leave and this thing.
Different type of certificate of backache or headache, not parental leave. Yeah.
But it is quite common nowadays. Because of the nuclear families, we have to the parents have to attend the children, or even some family member has to remain absent from his work.
Correct.
So there
It
was
is
another
our
question.
duty to give the certificate, accept or not to accept is their company, and give the leave or not to give. The company decides of their own rules and regulations.
There was another question: in a driving certificate, whether it is essential to provide a clear indication of the individual's fitness or suitability to drive, or we only mention visual acuity, color vision, etc.
So it's a format. There is a format. It is specifically written whether he can identify, he can read the number plate from 25 meters and all these things, whether he can understand, he can differentiate the colors. All these things are specifically written, and you have to write yes or no. So we have to check for that and then do. Don't do it blanketly.
I think about the driving license certificate, the role of physician is important as well as the role of ophthalmologist is important.
Rather, I must say that Ophthalmology Association should rather ask the government that all the driving certificates should be given only by the ophthalmologist, because color vision and vision are very, very important.
Dr. Avinash, I would like to ask one important sub-question in this relation, that about the medical certificate given by physician or ophthalmologist, that is a different entity. But up to what age the driving license certificate can be given to the person? Maybe because of old age, 70, 75, 80, 85. Is there any restriction? Or it is only the criteria which is written on the certificate?
Yeah, it is rather the age is no bar for driving as far as our country is concerned. We have to write every after say age of 40, we have to renew it every 5 years, and we have been doing for so many this thing. Now we have crossed 60, but we'll still keep on doing. So they have not put any restriction on the age limit. If it is fit as per this thing, whether he can understand, whether he can drive and other thing, we can definitely this thing.
Exactly. It is a fitness certificate.
Yeah.
And so if the person is fit, he can have the right of driving.
One important question, suppose the person is one-eyed. In that case, what happens to the driving license?
No. It is specifically written, it is both eyes. Yeah.
Because people, they come to us and they say that I can see with one eye. And even RTO is asking for this particular certificate from ophthalmologist. And because of squint or only one eye, when the vision is there, they send that patient to ophthalmologist and get the certificate from the ophthalmologist. That is a request from their side.
If the other eye is blind, that field of vision is not there. And so vehicles coming from that side may be missed or may be misrepresented. So one-eyed patient, whether the eye is lost or it is a blind or amblyopic or squinting, it should not be given.
Because patients and relatives, they force us to give the certificate.
No, don't accept the force.
Correct.
Of the patient.
Correct.
Yeah, Dr. Prakash, as per the driving license is concerned, I always think that if I give wrong certificate, the same person is going to hit me.
Sir, I will tell a small incident which has happened in my life. As an ophthalmologist, I said this bus driver should not be given, as I was a medical officer at Parbhani only, where probably you are also from Parbhani. So I said that this should not be given because he's a colorblind. But anyway, he got the certificate of fitness. And on the 6th day, I done his postmortem along with another 4 people.
Oh, so unfortunate.
Yeah,
that is a very bad incident. So never give a fitness certificate for a driving license having color blindness.
Yeah, a very funny incident. I'll tell you just this thing, if you have time. As you all know, this UPSC examination, in which all these collectors and all the secretaries are rather they become secretaries and collectors. One of my friend's relative was totally colorblind, and that was known to that friend. So they took that Ishara chart, na, what you say, colorblind.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. He learned it by heart and he passed. Because many times that is the thing in which these UPSC people, they are very careful.
In such circumstances, C chart should be used.
Yeah, and this test was done in a government hospital by the ophthalmologist.
Then C chart should be used in such circumstances.
There was another question. Being an ophthalmologist, can I say no to issue an certificate that is not related to eye?
If you're not treated, you can definitely have every right to say no for a certificate. Even you can say you have right to say no to treat a patient. So definitely you can.
Questions are over, Dr. Kaushik?
Yes, sir. We have done with all the questions.
It's good that we are giving justice to all your questions.
So thank you very much, this YOSI and all the panelists, Dr. Deshpande sir, Dr. Mathur sir, Dr. Prakash, and all the other who are attended. And I'm extremely happy. And I think, Dr. Kaushik, you have this on YouTube.
Yes, sir. We'll be having this on YouTube.
This thing, please send me the link
okay,
for
sir.
our own use. Thank
Okay.
you very much.
Dr. Avinash, I'm very much proud that my friend Dr. Avinash were associated at Indian Medical Association, and then we were classmates. To see you and presenting in such a nice way. It was the fluency and deep knowledge about the certificates and everything. I know that he can speak fluently on any subject, any topic for that matter. He's there on almost all television channels. You must have heard him. You must have observed him in so many debates. And we were fortunate to have him today on this certificate topics in this medical legal symposium or medical legal webinar of YOSI. So everybody is definitely delighted. I'm very much thankful to you for coming here.
Thank you,
and
Dr. Prakash.
presenting.
Thank you for the feeling.
Thank you, Dr. Avinash.
Yeah.
Thank you, Dr. Arti, being not able to come, but still he has come.
No,
And
now
Mathur sir and Kaushik and Marathi sir. Thank you all others supporting team.
Thank you
And
so much for guiding us, sir, always.
And
We
it
have
is the
learned a
honor.
lot
It is
and
the
we are
honor
learning
to
a lot.
have Dr. Deshpande sir, Dr. Mathur sir, stalwarts of medical legal aspects. And it was a very nice webinar. And I hope that all youngsters and ophthalmologists, they must have learned so many things what they are needing at this stage of life when they are entering into the practice of ophthalmology. Over to you, Dr. Arti.
No, sir, that's it. Maybe Dr. Kaushik can give vote of thanks.
Thank you, Avinash sir, for the excellent talk. We learned many new things, and I think our colleagues and all other ophthalmologists and physicians will benefit from this talk. And we have no words to express thanks to Dr. Anand sir, Dr. Marathi sir, and Dr. Mathur sir, who have been guiding us from the beginning of this initiative. And we have been doing this almost every monthly, and we'll be continuing this endeavor again every monthly. Thank you, sir. And I'll take your permission to end this meeting, and we will share the link shortly, the website, YouTube link.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye. Bye.
Nice to meet you, Avinash sir.
Yeah, thank you, sir.
You are at present in Parvani?
No. I am from Pune, sir.
Pune.
Myself and Prakash, we are from Pune, not Parvani.
Yeah.
And the one thing, Dr. Kaushik, in my introduction, you said that I'm president of IMA Maharashtra. I was president in 2019-20
Yes.
during COVID period. Now I'm a past president.
Okay.
Fortunately, there are no other people. Otherwise, many people definitely take objection on that.
No problem. You are president for all of us throughout our life. That you are president of Maharashtra State.
Arti changed my designation also, not as chairman. I was co-chairman.
Okay.
Yeah.
And mine is to be added now. Member of legal.
Yeah, Prakash Marathi is to be added.
Sir, we'll revise all the introduction for the next session.
Yeah. I will send it.
Yes.
As medical knowledge, we have to update the designations also every time.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. Good night.
Thank you, everyone.
Call it a day.
Thank you and good night.
Good night. See you all.